If you geek out on the markets like I do, this is Super Bowl week. No, not next week. This is Super Bowl week. Okay, this is a big week for the markets. I'm calling it confirmation week because we've had for months and months this expectation that we're going to get the soft landing, and we're going to get a lot of news flow this week that could confirm that narrative is intact. It's best not to confuse, though, long-term investing with short-term trading. The markets over the long term reflect earnings. If earnings move higher, the markets generally follow. This is an easier game to play. The trend has been higher for the U.S. markets looking out over a century now. But in the short term, the markets make a lot of bets on what they think will happen in the coming weeks or months. They get caught up in stories of promise and potential. And this is not unlike sports, as we got the Super Bowl coming up, right? In many leagues, hot prospects can get a big contract or endorsement deal. They're new, they're exciting, and there's lots of joy in seeing a new talent emerge. But, it's the players who are consistent and deliver on that potential who end up making the most money throughout their career. And, well, even beyond that career. Think Michael Jordan, Charles Barkley, Peyton Manning, Jack Nicklaus, Tiger Woods, on and on and on. Music is the same way. The one-hit wonders of the 1970s and 80s, well, they're in the distant past. Billy Joel, Elton John, Guns N' Roses, they are still selling out decades later. Some of that promise that powered the markets in 2023 will be on display this week as investors look for confirmation that the stories are intact. All right, here's story number one. Artificial intelligence will start delivering meaningful revenue this year. Mega cap tech stocks last year powered higher mostly on the hopes that this new technology could be a game changer for productivity and profits. But outside of a few companies, including NVIDIA and Microsoft, AI profits were simply a talking point, not a tangible piece of the business yet. The market was willing to pay more and more for each of these companies because of the promise, the potential. At some point, they'll need to show AI's profitability. That's why it'll be key to listen closely to each of these tech CEOs talk about their AI outlook for the year. This week, we'll hear from many of the mega cap tech companies. All right, story number two. The bond market is under control. Yes, Treasury will not oversupply long-term bonds. Each quarter, the U.S. Department of Treasury announces how much new debt it will issue. It's typically not a major headline grabber until last summer. In late July, the Treasury announced it was going to issue a much larger amount of debt than the market was expecting. In turn, Treasury sold off, driving bond yields higher. Simple supply-demand dynamics. Within 3 months, yields on 10-year Treasuries had topped 5%. Stocks also got pummeled. The S&P 500 dropping 10%. Then, in late October, all of that reversed and the Treasury's announcement was more in line with what Wall Street professionals were expecting. Fears of oversupply dissipated, inflation continued falling, causing the Fed to pivot, and that helped drive a massive rally in bonds. Likewise, stocks ripped higher, back to all-time highs, at least for the index, if not the average stock. This week, the Treasury will announce how much debt it expects to issue in the coming quarter. Wall Street will be watching. Back to that aforementioned Fed pit. Policymakers will be meeting on Wednesday. They are not expected to adjust rates, but Chairman Jay Powell will be pressed for more details on the Fed's thinking around cuts this year. We'll be paying attention to what he says and what he doesn't say. The market is currently pricing in that cuts will begin in May, but a lot may depend on the labor market. Jobs have been plentiful and unemployment remains near record lows. The latest read comes on Friday. So buckle up. This could be a wild week for the markets. The soft landing seems to be priced in. This week, we'll get a plethora of fresh data the market will look to for confirmation of that narrative.